So as you can see, the Adipose fitting really well with the 3.75 figures, and are just a little bit smaller than the Titan Vine. Colin, come back. Yeah, the comparison's not done yet. Be done in a minute. Hurry up. There we go. So as you can see, the Adipose fitting really well with the 3.75 figures, and are just a little bit smaller than that of the Titan Final. What? Oh my! Right, Colin, Colin, come back. That's mean. Hello YouTube, and welcome to another Doctor Who product review. Today I'm taking a look at another Big Chief product, and this time it's one of their expansion packs, being the 3 Adipose multi-pack that was made especially for the 10th Doctor in Blue suit figure that came out around October-November time last year. Now I picked this up especially along with my Connex 12th Doctor at the Doctor Who Festival, and when I mentioned it online on Twitter and things, people seemed to be rather interested in this expansion pack for some reason. So today I'm going to be reviewing it after a few requests, which I didn't actually expect people would be interested in, but it seems you are, so I'm going to be reviewing it for you anyway today. So for those of you that are familiar with the Big Chief line, this is just one of their standard expansion pack boxes, just a small little corrugated cardboard box, as you can see. I got mine at the festival, as I said, so it wasn't posted, so it's just a white box there. And then at the front we do have the sticker with the Doctor Who logo on, 1/6 scale expansion pack with the 10th Doctor, 2005 to 2010, 3 Adipose multi-pack, and then we of course have the barcode and company information at the bottom there. The box just has a little tab which allows for it to open, and then on the inside we have the Adipose. The Adipose come really nicely in this foam casing, and I do believe there is sort of a cover that normally goes on top, but as I got these in London, I believe I did actually lose the cover that goes on the top, so yeah, that would be covered normally, but as you can see, the Adipose are displayed really nicely there with the 2 standard ones at the bottom, and then the waving one at the top there, and the foam is really nice as well, so if you want to keep these protected, this is perfect for the job, which is great. Here are the 3 Adipose out of the box. Now, this expansion pack includes 2 walking stance Adipose and one of the famous waving Adiposes, which is possibly the most famous Adipose in Doctor Who history and the most iconic one. So the initial design for the Adipose pretty much remains the same for all of the different versions that have been released. They all have sort of the same similar paint apps, but even though they all look slightly different, which is what I love about them. This one does have quite a really nice sculpt actually. It's possibly the most interesting sculpt out of all of them. It's got the hand waving, which is great, and I do really like the way that this has been made. It's a very nice sculpt because of the hands. They aren't brittle or anything like that. Paint apps on them is what really sets this figure off. As you can see in the light there, we do have all these different tones around the body. Even on the main chest there, we do in fact have sort of this lighter colour, and then under the arms you have this darker one as well to bring out the shading, which is great. It is actually a rather stippled and dotted design, I think, if you look closely. Eyes have been done really well. I like the way that they've actually been set back into the sculpt, and the pink lines are in fact added to also the setback sculpt, which has been added into the body. Compared to the ones actually seen in the show, as they are a CGI creation, it is actually quite hard to capture them in toy form, but I think the overemphasized pink does set them off rather nicely. And I think it would look a little bit weird if the pink was just a bit paler. I think it would be a bit unnoticeable, but I like the addition of the pink on this, as it definitely brings out all the other little bits of detail. The eyes have also been done really well. The very pupils do in fact stick out a little bit from the pink, which is great. The mouth has been added on really nicely as well. It's not actually a 3D sculpt from what I can see. It's just been printed onto the design, which is fine. Once again, all of them have been printed really well. There isn't any paint leak on these at all. I would actually ironically say these have a better paint job than the 3.75 figures. We like the body positioning of the figure as well. We have this really nice bend in the curve as well, which is great. Something that the character options ones don't have. I do like the way it's sort of looking up. On the back there, once again, not really too much to talk about, but it does actually bring back much of the detail of the stippled design, which has been added really well. Coming back round to the front, we also have the waving hand that this has just been applied to the figure adorably. As you can see, we have the 4 little triangular little fingers and then the thumb as well. I love the way that these have actually been made to stick out of the design. I just find that absolutely brilliant. At the very bottom of this, we also have the 4 little feet, which have been detailed very nicely. Not really that much to talk about at all, really. They've just been applied really well. And once again, allow the figure to stand up very nicely, and ironically, probably have a better standing position than the 3.75 figures once again. Next Adipose is a very unusual one. As you can see, it's in the walking stance position, but this one looks rather nervous or sort of caught attention by something. But as you can see, it's been made really well. I love the little emotions on these, because even though it doesn't really show much, you could sort of imagine the emotion there. I think some emotion has been captured, and it looks sort of rather worried or something. But yeah, as you can see, the paint once again is pretty much the same for this one. It's been applied really well. I'm loving the tones around the face, especially sort of where a nose would be. I think the lighter additions to the paint around there, and especially the darker sides of paint under the arms and things like that, and the stippled effect over the chest. Once again, the same thing applies for this one, with sort of the middle of the chest having a bit of a lighter pinkish paint job, which is nice. And then we have the eyes, which have been done really well once again. I do think the paint on these have actually been brought out a little bit more. I would actually say on camera, the bright pinkness around the eyes is actually brought out a little bit more than it is in real life, so I would note that actually. And then we also have the eyes, which have once again been painted really well. The 3D sculpt has been applied to the sides, which is great, and once again, no paint leak on these whatsoever. The body stance of this one is actually rather normal. As you can see, no curve in the back this time. It's sort of just walking along adorably with it. And then on the opposite side, as you can see, the sculpting lines around the side have actually been a bit more brought out on this figure compared to the others, which I do think is actually hidden on the other ones a little bit more. But this one does seem to have a little bit of an issue where you can see a bit of the line where it is actually made together, which I don't really mind. You can't really see it. It is on the side, but still it is to note that some of them do have these sort of lines on them. And once again, coming back round to the front, we have the mouth. This has been done really nicely once again. It's been printed on really well. And once again, this one is sort of looking a bit more solemn and a bit more worried about something. But yeah, it's sort of like a shy, antisocial adipose, I guess. So in other words, this is me if I was an adipose. That took a depressing twist quickly, didn't it? Then finally, the next adipose is the walking stance adipose once again, but this one is a little bit more overjoyed by something. As you can see, pretty much the same idea as the second adipose, but this time the paint app's been brought out on this one a lot more. So we have the eyes there, which seem to be a lot more wider than the others. We have big pink marks around the face, and we have the eyes as well, which have been done really well. These actually do seem to be a little bit wider than the others, making them look a little bit more alert. But as you can see, this has been done really well. We have the smiley mouth once again, which is a little bit more similar to the first one. And then we even have sort of a bit more of that pink brush job around the sides, as you can see there. Sort of on the left hand side, you can sort of see a bit of a pink brush stroke around the sides, which I do think that this once again has been brought out on this adipose a little bit more. I love the way that each individual design actually varies. I think that's brilliant. Notable difference is the arms. These have sort of been stretched out across the design there, making him look a little bit more overjoyed and sort of look a bit like he's skipping along, I guess, or something. But also note that the body stance on this one is actually a little bit different. Once again, similar to the waving adipose, this one does in fact have a curve in, but this time it's not as severe as the waving hand version. Is sort of a little bit more relaxed, which is nice. And then on the very back of the adipose, you do have sort of a few darker marks on there. I don't know if those are scratches or anything like that, but once again, the pink spark lines have been added really nicely to the sides of the sculpt. In a comparison now of the character options adipose, they look a bit naff, really, don't they, to be honest? I've never really noticed how bad the character options ones are. They are okay, don't get me wrong, but they actually look pretty deformed, and the limbs and things are a little bit overemphasized and a bit too big. But I think the Big Chief ones are a lot more angular. I think the size and all the proportions are really nice and very accurate to what is seen in the story. But yeah, the character options ones, they also look a bit off colour. The arms are a bit too big, the sort of feet are a bit too big. They don't stand up too well. And just to also note, the slightly more browner ones are the ones as seen most recently in the B&M set as well, which are very, very brown. And then we have the more sort of standard grey versions, which once again didn't really get the look of how they looked in the story. They look very grey. But then the Big Chief ones, once again, the correct colours look much like how they do in the story, and overall are very, very detailed figures. Many people have been asking me if these fit in with the 5-inch line of figures, and my answer is a yes and a no. I think they do sort of fit to an extent. I think you can sort of get away with it. But overall, I think generally talking scale-wise and accuracy, I think that technically these are a little bit too big, and I would say that the character options line are a lot more accurate compared to size with these figures, but generally do lack in a little bit more detail, understandably. But yeah, I think genuinely you can get away with it, but I still think that they look a little bit too big. So overall, for this expansion pack, I'm going to be honest, I don't have the 10th Doctor Big Chief figure. I only have the 12th Doctor and the 1st Doctor, and that didn't stop me buying this. For £10, I honestly think you can't really go wrong with it. If you're a Big Chief collector, these will look great on your shelf along with the other little figures that you have. Currently, these just chill out with William Hartnell, to be honest. They're just on there. Nice little display props. I think that genuinely the paint apps on them are brilliant. They look just like how they do in the story, as with anything for Big Chief, because I think the Big Chief are just brilliant when it comes down to detail, which for the price, honestly, you do expect that. But I think genuinely, Big Chief are one of the best companies at the moment for Doctor Who merchandise, because what they produce is constantly 100% effort. The detail they put in is brilliant. I know it's only a £10 set. Why not buy it? It's 3 Adipose. Why would you not want 3 Adipose? It's genuinely a great little set. If you have the 10th Doctor, they will look brilliant for them as well. And it's an expansion pack, isn't it? So you can army build as much as you want, and you can have 10 billion of them. Thanks for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please do give it a big like. Please subscribe if you're not already. If you have any questions, please do leave them below, and I'll be sure to answer them at some point in the near future. Thanks again for watching. I shall see you all next time. So thanks for watching, and bye for now.